as things went along, I had to go to school in grade 1A because of my age. And it was very hard for me to understand what the teachers were trying to tell me. But nevertheless, my emotions and movements, I made myself clear to tell them just how my age and where I came from. I also came from Galicia in Austria. I was born there in 1893. As things progressed, I had to stay in the 1A for the whole time because I was unable to explain and tell people, excuse me, that I was a foreigner. So I had to stay in grade 8 for a whole term. And then the second term, I had homework to take home. So they gave me small examples. And with the small examples, I added larger examples. And the next day, the teachers could understand that I knew arithmetic better than the 1A grade. So they immediately moved me up to 3A, which I spent several months, and I was promoted to 3B at the end of the term. And in 2 more years, I landed in 7B. And it so happened that there was a panic in New York, and I had to quit school. So I went to work in a grocery store, at first delivering orders, then they made me more or less of a clerk, and I stayed in that business till 1913. Then...
Pop, let's talk more, let's talk about the early years first. Before you came here, this country, where were you born?
Well, of course, I should mention where I was born. I was born in a village, and we happened to be the only Jewish people in that village. My father had sort of a country store there, where you could get cigarettes, drinks, and beer, and so forth. And as time went on, I had brothers in this country way back.
Go ahead,
way back in the late 18s, and
so your father had a grocery store in what town was it?
In Galicia.
Galicia, and that's what is now Austria?
It's now Austria. No, now it's now Poland.
It's now Poland.
Yeah.
But then it was Austria?
It's Austria. Austria-Hungary.
And you were born in 1893, right?
It came here in 1904.
You weren't born Bert Gruber, right? You were born with...
No, I was born as Benjamin Gruber.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had 5 sisters and 9 brothers.
And then you were 15, or you were the 14th? You were one of 14, or
I was one, I might say, about the 11th.
You were about the 11th out of 14 or out of 15? Out of 14?
Out of 14.
And your father, what was your father's name?
My father's name was Solomon.
Solomon Gruber. And your mother's name?
My name was Rose Gruber.
Was your mother, was that your father's first wife or your second wife? His second wife.
My mother was my father's second wife, and it so happened we had, as I mentioned before, 14 children. He had 7 with one wife, then he had 7 more with the second one.
What happened to the first wife?
The first wife passed on. Something that I can't answer, but my mother died at the age of 33, leaving 7 children behind her. In fact, she left an infant behind her, which was only several months old.
That was Harry?
No, that was my sister Ruth.
Ruth.
And my older brothers and sisters of my father's first wife, were in this country a good many years, and they decided to bring the rest of the family to the United States. And we finally got together, and so happened that the bad luck came that my mother took sick and passed away. Passed away in 1903. And the other brothers and sisters, which were not stepbrothers to me, they were real brothers and sisters, they decided to bring the rest of the family to the United States, which they did, and we all came here, and we got along, we progressed in lots of ways, some fairly good, some very good. And what else?
Well, tell me about Europe. Tell what life was like in Europe.
Well, in the little town where we came from, as I mentioned before, we were the only Jewish family, but we got along with the Gentiles very well, and they were all fond of us because we happened to get along so well with the Gentiles.
And you remember things about the way the town looked?
Well, I can. If I was an artist or a sculptor, I could just paint that house where I was born, and the roads along to the main roads.
They were dirt roads?
They were dirt roads, but finally I got to the road for the city, where it was more or less like they are here.
What city was that?
It was the small town. The name was Sasa, which is a little business store for the village and for other villages around us.
Uh-huh. What kind of house was it that you were in? Was it a single house, or was it an apartment house?
It was a regular house with only one basement and one floor. There was no second floor or third floor. We had a straw roof.
Mm-hmm. How many rooms were there?
And we had about 6 rooms. We had a garden. We had not only a garden, but we had a big orchard which grew all kinds of fruits and cherries of a variety of different kinds. Sour ones, sweet ones, black ones and red ones. And apples and pears that I can never see in this country. Different type, different shape, different flavor.
Why did you leave?
Well, we all had to leave after my mother passed away. The older brothers and sisters of my father's first crowd decided to bring us all here. And here we finally got here in 1904, 7 of us, from the age of 2 to 14.
Mm-hmm. There were 7 of you, and how many were already here?
7 were here from the first wife.
Okay, so the 7 from the first wife were here already, and you were one of the 7 from the second wife.
Right.
Came to join them. Your father come too?
My father came, and he lived here a short time. He died in 1905.
Uh-huh. How old was he when he... 1915 he died?
1915.
How old was he when...
65 years old.
When he died?
He died.
So he came over in 1904, so he was 54 years old.
Yeah, he was still a young man.
Uh-huh. What did your father die from?
General causes.
Uh-huh. 65 was a pretty old age at that time.
At 65 at that age was like 90 today.
Do you remember all the names of your brothers and your sisters?
I do. My oldest brother, the first wife, was Morris. Second son was Sam. The third was a daughter, Ida. The fourth was another brother, Abraham. Another brother, Isaac. another brother, a sister rather, Rose, and a sister the name of Bella.
Mm-hmm. And that was from the first wife.
And now that's the first wife. The second wife, it was Henry. I'll give you the American name. Henry, Louis, Benjamin.
That's you. Benjamin's you?
Yeah, that was me. And the sister, Rose, and the brother, Harry, and a sister, Lily, and the infant's name was Ruth.
Ruth. Okay, so you all came, and where did you live when you came? Wait. How did you get over here?
We came here, and we landed in Ellis Island, where two of my brothers of the first wife got us and picked us up and took us to his home, and we finally got together, and we stayed in each other's houses for a while. Then my older sister of my mother decided to get her an apartment on Floyd Street, Brooklyn, and we all moved in there, and every one of us got married from that home. Back from 1904 to 1914.
Uh-huh. So what, you came over by boat, and what kind of boat was it?
It was a large steamer called the Rotterdam.
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 So it was a nice big boat. You came over in nice accommodations.
Well, we were in steerage. My father was not a well man, so he was in second class. And the rest of us were all in steerage, but we had a hell of a time getting a handful of herring and throw them out to the fish out in the ocean. And the food was very good and plenty of it.
Okay, so you didn't come over in bad accommodations. They were at least livable, and they had plenty of food.
It was wonderful, and I can still remember every little move we made from the town. We left our little town till we got here to the United States.
How long did it take you to get from the town to the port, and how did you get there?
We went by a horse and wagon to the biggest city, named Zlochov, and there we got the train from Zlochov to my father's brother's house in Krakow, and from Krakow we went to Germany, and from Germany, from the town of, I can't remember the town in Germany, but from Germany we went to Holland, and we stayed there overnight, and that was Friday night, and Saturday morning we left for the United States and landed here on July 25th. Which happened to be my birthday.
Okay. Didn't you once say that you really weren't sure that July 25th was your birthday, but you just took that because...
Yes, that is very true. I took that because that's the day I landed here.
Okay. But now, when did you change your name from Benjamin to Bert, and why did you change it?
I happened to meet, I was then about probably 13 or 14 years old, and I met up with a lot of friends, and one of the girls didn't like Benjamin or Benny, and she changed it to Bert. It's been Bert ever since then.
Oh, okay. But yet, do your brothers and sisters call you Bert?
Everyone in the family calls me Bert.
Okay.
I've never called Benny or Benjamin ever.
Well, when you got here and your brothers met you, where did you? They separated the seven of you?
Yes, they took two in one family, two in another, and one in the third, and so forth. And we stayed there until we got our own apartment.
Where was the place you stayed?
The first place was about number 160 Tompkins Avenue, Brooklyn. The second was 39 Pulaski Street.
Where's that? Also Brooklyn?
Also, these were all in Brooklyn. And the third was 199 Floyd Street.
Okay, are they all in the same section of Brooklyn?
All the same section.
What section's that? Williamsburg?
The section of Williamsburg.
Uh-huh.
And as time went on, I progressed fairly good. And thank God I'm here to say and what I remember all these years.
Uh-huh. So you went to school, you started out in 1A, and then because you didn't really understand the language, and then you progressed. And what was the panic? When was the panic?
In 1907.
What do you mean by a panic?
Panic, things got very bad in the city, we called it a panic at that time. Today, I call like
recession?
Yeah, recession. And that's the time I had to leave school and go to work.
Why? Because your father or brothers lost their jobs?
Some lost their jobs, some went broke, whatever they were doing. And things got so where I had to leave, had to bring my father to school to be able to get a transfer to go to work.
Okay, and so in 1907, so you were 14.
I was 14.
Where did you work? What was your first job?
The first job was in a grocery, delivering orders, delivering breakfast in the morning, and delivering orders all day long for $3 a week.
$3 a week and tips?
And tips, pennies at a time.
Uh-huh. How much did you bring home altogether, would you say, with $3 a tip a week and tips?
Probably around $4 or $5.
4 or 5. Where was the place you worked? Do you remember?
Yes, 162 Tompkins Avenue.
Okay.
And my boss's name was Charles McAaron, an Irishman.
Uh-huh. Okay, well, how long did you do that for? That was full-time, right? Not while you were going to school?
That was full-time. I worked it up to 1913.
So that was 6 years? 1907 to 1913?
Yeah.
Then
and
what?
with 1913...
Now you were 19 years old, 20 years old.
Yeah. One of my brothers decided... Oh, no, wait, I was only 13 years old.
You were 13 or 14 when you started, so now you're 19 or 20 when you finished at McAaron's.
No, I started to work for McAaron in 1907.
Right, then you were 14.
In 1913.
That's 20 years old. 1913 to 1893, that's 20 years old. How old do you remember being when you stopped working for McAaron?
Let's see.
All right, it's not important. In 1913?
1913.
Okay, so in 1913, then what?
Then I went to work in the clothing industry as a cutter. And worked there from 1913 till 1918.
Okay, the war was going on in Europe?
The war broke out in 1914, but the reason I wasn't able to join the army for being an enemy alien.
I see.
And in 1923, I got my citizen papers and became a full-fledged United States man.
Oh, did they treat you any differently because you were an enemy alien?
No, not at all. They all understood that you had to be a citizen to be able to join the army. And of course, I wasn't able to do it at that time. But in 1923, I got my citizen papers and became a full-fledged citizen.
Okay. So, how was working as a cutter? Was that long hours? Was that the kind of sweatshops that you heard about?
No, it was only 10 hours a day and 6 days a week.
That's all?
So.
Oh. And what day? So you had a full day off.
Sunday was a full day off.
Okay.
And those that were religious didn't work on Saturday. A lot of Jews were off Saturday and worked on Sunday.
What?
To certain different industries.
What was your pay then?
$10 a week.
Oh, big raise. I see. What made you leave there?
I wanted to get into a more active business, so I got a new job at a different firm, and somehow or other it didn't work out, and I quit, and I went on as a conductor on the BMT, and worked there 1 year. They changed my name from Bert Gruber to Robert Gruber.
Why did they do that?
Some called me Robert Nichols.
Why did they change your name?
Well, they took my name off the payroll. In other words...
Hi, is this Harvey?
Why did they...
Who's the manager? Richie, is he there?
What?
Richie,
Go ahead.
this is Kay with the hot dog.
Go ahead.
I'm coming down for them sometime today.
Why did they take you off the payroll?
Okay, bye.
Well, for reasons for not registering the full amount of affairs.
Uh-huh. Okay. But why did they call you Robert Gruber?
They called me Robert Gruber because it sounded like Robert Nichols and Robert Gruber.
Oh, okay. That was a joke, Robert Nichols.
More or less.
Uh-huh. All right. So then, when your name was taken off the payroll there, what happened then?
Then I went to work as a waiter for my brother-in-law in a tea room on Lexington Avenue, opposite Bloomingdale's.
What was the name of that tea room?
The something pertaining to Bloomingdale's.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
So this was when?
That was in about 1920.
Okay, and so what did you do there in the tea room?
To whom I was a waiter. And finally, my brother-in-law opened up another shop on 3rd Avenue and 72nd Street. And I was transferred there. I was there for close to a year, and they opened up another the Fordham Tea Garden on Fordham Road in Fordham. And there I worked as a waiter for a short time and reached up to be a manager for close to a year. And the place was sold to 3 partners, so they didn't need a manager. So I had to look for another job. It so happened I was still single, but I was more or less engaged to the woman that I married. And she used to come up to meet me evenings at this tea room and just to visit me. It so happened one evening, a couple of men were having supper there, and they got to talking about the business they had there called the Fordham Fruit Market. And they happened to talking about it. So my fiance said, I wouldn't mind if my boy can get into a thing like that. Well, they said, well, anytime he's ready, we'll take him in. And it so happened that I lost my job as a manager, and I joined them, and I was with them for 8 years, and then I paid off one partner, paid off another partner, and became an owner for myself from 1933, and from 1933 till 1970. And in 1970, I retired.
Okay, wait, the place that you went into business was the same place that you were for all those years? Didn't you own a place before university place?
You know, I was a business in Fordham, but when they took me in.
Right, and then you bought them out and you owned Fordham.
Yeah, and I don't know. They paid out one, then we paid out, and the other one and I went downtown.
Oh, you had two places.
And we closed up for them.
Okay.
And I was with the second partner till I think 1933 or 35. And I paid him out.
What was the name of the store?
At first it was the Fordham Food Exchange, then it was changed to Devonshire Produce Exchange.
Okay.
Where I had vegetables, the finest vegetables and fruits, and the fanciest groceries that you could look for.
Okay.
I was there for 48 years in one little spot.
That's right. It was a little store right near, right in the village.
Near New York University.
Right. What was the address?
53 University Place.
Okay. What were your partners' names?
One was
Slips your mind.
Abe Lowy and Max Klansky.
Abe Lowy and Max Klansky.
Yeah.
Do you know what they did after you bought them out?
The first one opened up in Fordham in competition with me and gave it up. The second one went into another business, I don't know. He went out of the food business.
How was the business in the village?
It was very good. I done very well until the supermarkets started to come in, and then things changed a little, but I still managed to make $1.
When did the supermarkets come in?
In 1950s.
Well, how about during the war? Didn't you do real well during the war?
Very well.
Why is that?
Well, everything was
Rationed?
rationed, and when they had a slip, what they call stamps, the food stamps, I used to take care of them. If they wanted a 1 pound of butter and they needed 3, they got it.
Okay. Well,
But it's hard to make an honest living.
How did it work? If you gave them 3 pounds of butter and they only gave you enough, they paid you a little extra under the table. Is what you're saying, right?
Not to any extreme. It just it worked out very nicely.
Okay. So then when the war ended, things went back to normal business.
In normal business, things started to get bad.
Not in the 50s.
Yeah.
But you went from the 50s to 1970.
I managed to get by, but just so.
Then in 1970, you sold your store to who?
To a neighbor. Fellow next to me had a phonograph in the radio shop, and he took my lease over. And he broke through and done very well.
Okay. Well, you used to have friends there, didn't you? You had one guy named Johnny, right, work for you?
Well, Johnny worked for me 40 years. He came to work for me in 1937 as a delivery boy, and he turned out to be my manager when I sold out. He was with me all those years. I think he was with me 40 years or a little over.
Okay. You used to have fights with him and things, I remember, right?
Well, there's always little things that don't pan out exactly the way you want them, but we got along pretty good.
Okay. But yet, if you had a manager, you used to come home pretty late and go in very early.
I had a manager working for me the same hours that I worked.
So there were two of you there then?
We both got there 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 in the evening.
Okay.
6 days a week.
And then what about, wasn't there somebody named Freddie also?
Freddie was one of the delivery boys.
Okay. He was kind of a character, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He was, it's hard to explain. He liked his beer.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. What about Johnny? Did he like his beer too?
Not quite as much.
Uh-huh. What happened to Johnny?
Johnny got a job in the building and worked there, I think about 6 or 7 years.
With who?
For the building, as an assistant super.
Okay.
Yeah, and after that he passed away.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, what about, didn't you have friends in the drugstore across the street too? With all the ice cream you used to bring home?
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Jimmy worked as a counterman in the drugstore, in the luncheonette.
Uh-huh. And he used to give you a little ice cream to take home to the...
Yeah, he used to give me ice cream. There's one time, in this very house where I'm talking from, I had 45 pints of ice cream in my freezer.
You used to take me down there and I would count them, right?
You're right.
And then you used to bring home the big tubs.
Yes.
2.5 gallons.
A 2.5 gallon tub.
Uh-huh. What did you used to give me with the ice cream? We used to have our ritual, right?
No, he used to store the things that he used to store.
Right. But what about with me? Remember we used to have our ice cream parties?
Oh, ice cream party. And an ice cream party wasn't enough for you. You had to get a big plate full besides.
Oh, I had an ice cream soda and then I had a pint of ice cream for dessert. For dessert, right. Okay.
How true.
Remember the Saturday nights we used to watch TV together?
Indeed I do.
What did we watch on television?
Oh, that's hard to say.
We watched Perry Mason.
Oh my God, yes.
Gunsmoke.
You see, these names are only maybe 25 years ago. But ask me some things 75 years ago, 80 years ago, I can still tell you.
25's getting a little cloudy.
Huh?
25 years ago it gets a little cloudy.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And thank God, I'm still able to do things that I want to do. Of course, my sight is not what it used to be, neither is my hearing, but I have very good care. God bless my daughters. Take good care of me. Couldn't ask for anything better.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about, now let's go back again, since you remember things from a long time ago better than now. You mentioned Mugger. How did you meet her?
Who?
Rose.
It so happened two friends of mine.
When was it?
This is back in, say, about around 1920. Around 1920 is right. Is your mother there? And one of my friends had a car. And we got acquainted with some girls in Jersey, and we went to visit them. Then they came up. One was from Highbridge, Bronx, and the other two from Brooklyn. And we went to Brighton Beach one night. And one girl that we met in the Bronx was in the Manhattan Beach, Brooklyn, and she was there. We had an appointment. And we got there, and there was another girl standing there, and she sort of liked her. Right away, I saw her. I said, "Who's that girl?" So they introduced me to her. So I immediately gave my friend the sign that we got to take the Bronx girl home, which we did. And we came back to the Manhattan, and I met the girl that I was interested in. And from then on, it went on and on.
And then when did you get married?
In 1924.
She was from the Bronx?
She was from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, okay.
We got rid of the Bronx girl in a hurry.
Okay.
And
So you met in 20 and got married in 24?
24.
Where,
And my oldest daughter was born in 1925.
okay, what were you doing in 1920 when you met her? What were you working at?
I was working. I was in the Westfield Market in Fordham.
Okay, and
In the Fordham Fruit Exchange.
where did you live when you got married in 24?
In Fordham, on Morris Avenue. 2604 Morris Avenue.
Okay, and so then Mom was born in 25.
Yeah.
And
My other daughter was born in 1930.
okay, and where were you living when Mom was born? Also in Fordham?
In Fordham until 1930, and we had very good neighbor, a fellow by the name of Abe Harris. He was with the Tobacco Company, and they decided to go to Rockaway for the summer. Sandy she was born in February, and this was May. Decided to get a house in Far Rockaway, which we did. It was on the 27th Street, and I even remember the street. And we were there for the summer of 1930. We were there as Sandy was an infant, and Gladys was 5 years old. She was 5 in April, and Sandy was an infant then.
Right.
And then we put our home into storage from Fordham. We had huge furniture. We had a dining room table that seated 24 people.
Wow. Where did you get that?
I don't know, but we bought the finest furniture. I had the driver from the food market come down with his these small cars. What do they call them?
Trucks?
No. Motorcycle. He used to take us down to pick the furniture somewhere in the 20s. Good morning. And we put our stuff in storage and went to live with my mother-in-law from May, after we came back not from May, but from the summer. See, we came back
Okay.
to my mother-in-law's after vacation, and we took an apartment in Brooklyn, and we got the things out of storage. We moved into Brooklyn on May. Anyway, we lived there for 5 years, and one of my wife's brothers had a place in Fordham, in the Rockaway, in Rockaway Park.
Mm-hmm.
He was at the first building that was built on the boardwalk. He had an apartment there, so he invited us there for one weekend, and we were there for the weekend. And Monday, my wife found an apartment in the same building, and we moved into that building in 1935, and we lived there till 1940.
What was the name of that building?
It was the
Law Yard?
law yard. And then we moved into, then my wife found one of her friends selling a house out here, and we bought it and moved into there in 1940. And here I am.
This is it. Well, how much did you pay for this house then?
12,000.
12,000. 1940. Well, what do you remember about Rose?
Well, she was a wonderful woman, a good mother, a good wife, took care of things very well, in every respect, well liked by the family. And they told me, in Jewish, they say, "Give out and is enough," meaning in English, You waited, but you got something worthwhile. But it so happened, God's work did all the damage. And took it from me many, many years too soon.
1961? 63?
63?
63?
62. 61 or 62, it's going to be...
I think it was 63, right?
Yeah.
It's 20 years now.
No, it's not. It was more than 63. She
61 maybe, 61.
61, right. Because it's going to be 3 years that she's dead.
22 years. Her maiden name was Silverman?
Silverman.
She come from a big family?
Yes, there were 8 in the family. There were 4 brothers and 5 sisters.
Did they, were they a close family too? Your family was very close.
Pardon?
Your family was very close. Were they close?
Yes, very close. She was well liked by everyone, and we never got in touch with them much visiting, but they came to different meetings. Some of our brothers and sisters. As a matter of fact, one wanted to join the organization, and he could have if he wanted to.
What? Where was she from originally? Was she born in this country?
Yes, she was born in Brooklyn.
And did her parents born in this country, or did they come from somewhere else?
No, they were both. One from Austria. The mother was Austrian, and the father was a Russian.
Okay. Was your name Gruber in Poland? Russia?
Always.
Austria?
It was always Gruber.
Okay.
And I was not related to Schickel Gruber.
Who's that? Who's Schickel Gruber? Tell me.
That was that Boulevard. That fellow born from Germany.
Adolf Hitler.
Adolf Hitler.
Okay. Anything else?